Hello everybody. If you're new here, we talk about all things fandom and we talk about them in a positive way. If that's something that appeals to you, you know you've come to the right place and we're so happy to have you here. Today we're going to be talking about our non-spoiler review of Five Nights at Freddy's. So let's jump into it. Okay everybody, so Five Nights at Freddy's is out. And there have been a lot of reviews of it already, and some of them have been spoiler reviews. And a lot of these reviews I found were kind of treating the movie a little bit unfairly. And the reason I say this is that while Five Nights at Freddy's the game was enjoyed by a lot of adults, you could go into any Walmart or Target or Sam's Club or any other place like that around the world. And you're going to find these young adult novels of Five Nights at Freddy's material. So, of course, when the movie comes out, they're going to have to cater a little bit to that. And thus, the movie is PG-13. And it does have a few cute elements to it. And I think a lot of reviewers really thought that this was going to be a movie adaptation of the game, and that's it. This was going to be the game, and it was going to make them feel utterly terrifying. And when it didn't accomplish that, I think that a lot of people judged it really harsh. The movie as a whole isn't that bad. The movie in itself is not terrible. What it is an adaptation of both the video game and probably some of the young adult novels. So you get a little bit more of a Goosebumps feel from the movie. Now, that being said, once you look at it that way, the movie takes on another life. It takes on something a little bit different. You're not looking like, I have to be terrified by this movie because I was terrified playing the game. And there have been some people that have said that it didn't live up to the game because the game was terrifying and this was way too cute. The movie does take some elements from the games, but I strongly believe that this takes a lot of elements from these young adult novels. It follows a security guard whose brother disappeared years ago, and he is now responsible for taking care of his young sister. When he gets a job at Freddy's, he is taking his sister along, kind of begrudgingly due to some circumstances that happen in the movie. Now, since this is a non-spoiler review, I'm not going to go into any of that. But what follows are a few cute moments, followed by some actually slightly terrifying moments in the movie. And you can kind of look and see where they were going. It is very much more in the vein of Goosebumps than it is in the video game version of Five Nights at Freddy's. It is probably definitely catering to these books. So when you watch it, just kind of know that it might be too intense for younger kids, but the PG-13 rating does mean something. And that being said, the movie isn't terrible. Could it have been better? Of course it could have been. But the performances in it are okay. And the movie itself is kind of fun. You do find yourself sort of rooting for the characters. You do find yourself kind of noticing things you noticed in the video games. And that was part of the appeal of this movie for a lot of adults. See things that you noticed in the video games and see how they bring them to life. Well, the movie does take some of the plot and switch it around ever so slightly. Actually, maybe even a lot. But it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. They're trying to make this more of a franchise from the impression that I got, where it could potentially have more than one film. And being that the movie didn't perform that badly, I think it actually could, in fact, garner a sequel. Now, the sequel may just be more of the same, and I do expect it to be more of the same. I expect it to be more Goosebumps than actual terrifying movie, but if they do it right, it still can be pretty good. And I'm curious to see what they do with this movie now, because if they do have a sequel, if they do bring in other characters from the game, how do they incorporate the story? Do they change it? Do they make it a little more scary? Do they make it less scary? How do you come back from the way that they did this movie? So overall, while I'm not going to say this was the best movie of all time, I'm not going to say it was the worst. And I will say this though too, possibly this is the reason the review embargo was not lifted. I stated previously that I thought perhaps one of the reasons was because they knew it was going to go to streaming and to the movies the same day, and releasing the review embargo so that spoiled for fans would be sort of bad for. But I stand behind that 100%. I think that that is a very solid reason as to why they didn't release the review embargo before. Them releasing the review embargo later rather than earlier may actually have been because they knew that this movie was going to disappoint a lot of the adult fans of the series. Them realizing that they were going to have to follow the young adult novels as well as the game, and the adults that actually enjoyed the game and maybe even were scared by it. This kind of is something that sort of makes sense. Why would you do a movie that is going to be meant for young adults, that maybe adults know and respect, release it on streaming and in theaters the same day, and expect that people aren't going to give it bad reviews or review bomb it because it's not what they anticipated? So that's kind of where I stand with this movie. Overall, I didn't hate the movie. I just kind of had the feeling that they were going to go more young adult book, and I was sadly proven right. It don't mean that I hated the movie. I actually found a lot to enjoy about it. Overall, I give the movie 3 stars. I would give it higher if it was a little bit more scary, but it is kind of enjoyable. It's something you can watch with your older kids, perhaps, maybe not with the younger kids. But it is something that is kind of fun. It is kind of entertaining. And the performances are actually pretty solid. But I want to know what you guys think. Alright everybody, as always, we want to know what you guys think, so make sure you leave us a comment in the comment box below letting us know what you think. Don't forget to share this video with all of your friends so they can be a part of the conversation as well. Then, make sure you hit that like button as hard as you can. It's free, it helps the channel, and we appreciate it. Miko says we need more subscribers, and you don't want to disappoint Miko. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell while you're down there so you don't miss a single video we do. And then, friends, at the end of the day, I know it, you know it, and Miko knows that fandom is family.